Urgent, Steelers fan. Look at what just happened. Nobody saw this coming, huh? But first, make sure to subscribe to the channel because we bring you daily videos with the latest your team news. And don't forget to turn on notifications so you don't miss anything. Julian Edelman encourages Aaron Rodgers to sign as soon as possible to build chemistry with new team. The wait for Aaron Rodgers is still on. Like the Brandon Ayuk saga last year, it feels like there's no end in sight for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Rodgers visited Pittsburgh last Friday, and it reportedly went well. Meanwhile, Russell Wilson signed with the New York Giants, taking them out of the Rodgers sweepstakes. All of that should point to Rodgers making a decision soon, but there's no telling if that will actually happen. Former NFL wide receiver Julian Edelman wants Rodgers to make a decision quickly so that he doesn't waste valuable time. If I was Aaron Rodgers, I wouldn't want to get into the same predicament as I got into with the Jets, Edelman said Thursday on his Dudes on Dudes podcast. You get there kind of late, you don't really practice that much, and all of a sudden, the season comes out and we're not looking like we need to be looking because we're not on the same page. Wherever he's going to sign, I would sign as soon as possible. So you can learn the players around the team that you're going to be playing with. If you watch last year on the Jets, I think week 8 on, Aaron Rodgers played pretty damn good football. That's because he started to learn his players, I feel. Edelman makes a good point. While Rodgers was already in his second season with the Jets last year, he didn't attend many of their off-season activities. The year before that was his first with the team, and an Achilles injury knocked him out for basically the entire season. That probably meant he needed those reps with his teammates more than he previously did. That's a major injury, and at his age, it was always going to be tough for Rodgers to bounce back. The first half of his 2024 season was shaky, and part of that could be because he needed more time practicing in the offseason. He was much better during the second half of 2024. Rodgers seems content taking his time before making a decision about his future. That's fair, to an extent. This could be his last year in the NFL. It's easy to understand why he would want to consider all possibilities. However, the rest of the NFL isn't stopping just because Rodgers hasn't made a decision. At this point, it feels like the Steelers are Rodgers' only remaining option. The Giants were the only other team that reportedly had interest in him. Unless he wants to wait and see if another opportunity appears, Rodgers might have to go to Pittsburgh. If he wants to wait until after the draft to choose his next team, the Steelers might be better off putting him in their rearview mirror. While off-season activities haven't started yet, Edelman is correct that Rodgers could benefit from every bit of time he could spend with a new time. There's a lot involved with joining a new team. He'd need to learn Arthur Smith's offense, develop a relationship with his new teammates, and learn how he fits in Pittsburgh. Unfortunately, it doesn't seem like anything is going to speed Rodgers up. Pausing this news just to say that if you want YouTube to keep recommending the latest The Black and Gold news to you, it's very important that you leave a like on this video. Thanks. Now let's get back to the news. Why the Steelers might want to trade for 49ers. QB Brock Purdy. The 49ers have so many options other than paying Purdy everything he wants. Let's see what they choose to do. The Steelers have no starting quarterback. Here's why they might try to make the 49ers an offer for Brock Purdy they can't refuse. Russell Wilson signed with the Giants, Justin Fields signed with the Jets, and the only quarterback left on the Steelers roster are Mason Rudolph and Skylar Thompson. They don't seem overly eager to sign Aaron Rodgers, who is. The Steelers also own the 21st pick in the draft, which means they probably can't draft a day one starter. 3 years ago, they drafted Kenny Pickett with the 20th pick in the 2022 draft. He currently is a backup quarterback on his third team in 4 seasons. I'm guessing the Steelers don't want to make that mistake again this year in what is considered a poor quarterback class. For the past couple years, the Steelers probably have been kicking themselves that they drafted Pickett over Purdy. Remember, Purdy was the last pick in the 2022 NFL Draft. Pickett was the first quarterback taken. The Steelers whiffed big time. Now they can fix that mistake by trading their first-round pick, No. 21, to the 49ers for Purdy and signing him to a long-term extension. The Steelers are desperate for stability at the position after having none since Ben Roethlisberger retired in 2021. And the 49ers don't seem eager to give Brock Purdy a contract that's worth more than $50 million per season on average. The 49ers have thrived when their starting quarterback is cheap. That's their formula for success. It allows them to spend lots, of money on other players. So if Shedeur Sanders drops to the 11th pick, the 49ers could take him and trade Purdy to the Steelers. Sanders might not be better than Purdy, but he would be significantly cheaper than him for the next 5 years, which means the 49ers roster would be much better if Sanders were the quarterback than if Purdy were the quarterback. The 49ers also could sign Aaron Rodgers to a 1- or 2-year deal, or they could simply roll with Mac Jones as the starter. They have so many options other than paying Purdy everything he wants. Let's see what they choose to do. ESPN. Draft analyst calls Steelers' dream landing spot for QB Shedeur Sanders. The Pittsburgh Steelers have a clear need at quarterback as the Aaron Rodgers saga rounds into its 3rd week, so why shouldn't they explore every possible option to upgrade? The position, trading up to 0.1 overall to have a chance at Cam Ward, is unrealistic, but Shedeur Sanders could be an interesting case if some of the early teams pass on him. Could we rule out the Pittsburgh Steelers? ESPN draft analyst Matt Miller asked during an appearance on NFL Live today. I remember not that long ago, Pittsburgh traded up to 10 to take an inside linebacker. Pittsburgh will be aggressive at times. Now going from 21 to 4, it's going to be expensive. That's going to be costly. So if you view this is an inexpensive year to move up the board, and we love Shedeur, can walk right into this building. He can be that option for us with these big receivers on the outside. Pretty good run game. I think Pittsburgh would be a team that you would have to keep an eye on. It's a double-edged sword because this is an inexpensive year to trade up relative to other years, and the fact that there isn't an abundance of talent at the quarterback position. Notable scouts have stated that none of the QBs this year would have cracked the top 6 that all got drafted in the first round last year. If that's the case, is it really worth trading up to get Sanders, who not everybody is even sold on? Only the Steelers would be able to answer that question with their internal evaluation throughout the pre-draft process. For what it's worth, there haven't been any hints of Pittsburgh being interested. There weren't any reports of them meeting with him at the Combine or the East-West Shrine Bowl, and they only sent WR coach Zach Azani to the Big 12 Pro Day. If a pre-draft visit ends up happening, then we can get serious about the possibility of a blockbuster trade. A big issue with this theory is the fact that the Steelers have the 3rd worst draft value this year. They traded their 2nd-round pick, and they only have 6 total selections. They could pawn off 2026 picks with the idea in mind of getting some value back via the compensatory system, but that would also squander a prime opportunity at having a wealth of value next year. Assuming the Titans pick Ward at 0.1 overall, would the Browns and Giants both pass on Sanders? The next few teams that could take a swing at the quarterback position would be the New Orleans Saints 0.9, Indianapolis Colts 0.14, and maybe the Seattle Seahawks 0.18. Your guess is as good as mine how high up the Steelers would have to trade to make it happen. They should only do that if they are in love with the prospect, at which point you give up just about anything to get him. I personally don't see a player that is franchise-altering to the point of being worthy for a big move up in the draft order. Not everyone will share that opinion, and that's okay. Miller thinks it would be a dream fit for Sanders in Pittsburgh. That's a dream landing spot because of what they have on defense, Miller said, and those 2 big playmaking wide receivers that they have. Most rookies would love to end up in a situation like Pittsburgh and the winning culture they have. The Steelers have been to the playoffs in each of the last 2 seasons, with mediocre quarterback play and a worse supporting cast on offense. Any rookie with some confidence would love to step into that situation and get a shot at the playoffs in their first season. For me, I'd rather take a swing in the middle rounds on a guy like Will Howard, Tyler Show, or even Quinn Ewers later in the draft with the idea of making the big splash in 2026. And now, Steelers fan, I want to hear from you. What's your opinion on this? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I don't know if you know this, but your opinion matters a lot for the Black and Gold. It'll be back any moment with more Steeler Nation news. Here we go, Steelers. Here we go.